What's going on today, guys? It's me, Shotgun Gameplays, and I've had a lot of comments on people wanting me to actually explain how this Dark Magician deck works. Now, like I said, the Dark Magician deck did get nerfed, so there's no such thing as Red Eyes Dark Dragoon in this game. You don't have Red Eyes fusions that you put in your deck. You have to replace the cards. So this is going to be a full breakdown on my Dark Magician video. Or my Dark Magician video deck. So first I'm going to explain all the cards you're going to need to run in this deck, and then I'll explain how to use them and so forth and so on. So this is going to be about a 15 to 20 minute video explaining on how this deck works, what are the mechanics behind it, what you could do to make it better, just anything like that. So the thing about most modern day decks, and this is just decks in general, it's not just with my Dark Magician deck. And a lot of decks nowadays, I see now that Solemn Judgment and Solemn Strike and Skill Drain aren't banned anymore. So all those are free range uses and they're staples in any deck. I repeat, so make sure you quote me on this. They are staples in any deck that you must have nowadays. Because the only way to win basically nowadays is to floodgate your opponent out on your first turn, make sure they can't do anything, and then just fuck them up. So always, if you have cards that are like Eternal Soul or the Blue Eyes version of this card, you're always going to want to run Skill Drain, because the way that Skill Drain works, it negates the effects of all face-up monsters while they're on the field. So basically what you're going to want to do is just have an ass load of beat sticks out on the field. That's why this works so well with Dark Magician and Blue Eyes decks, because they're literally just powerful beat stick monsters and you don't need their effects. All you need is your spells and traps effects and you're golden. Now don't get me wrong, you do have to play Skill Drain right. You have to make sure that when it's on your opponent's turn, as soon as they start their combo chain, if you have this card on the field, immediately activate it, because it'll put a stop to their combo and lock them out of the duel for that turn. And honestly, if you watch my video yesterday, it'll lock them out almost permanently. Like, it's a very broken card, and I really wish that they would ban it, but hey, they decided to add ban cards from the OCG and the TCG into this game. Like, that would be a great idea. But yeah, let's just get right into the deck. So you're gonna always want to run 3 Dark Magicians. The reason why you run 3 Dark Magicians is obviously for the fact of Eternal Soul, Dark Magical Circle, Piercing the Darkness, Dark Burning Magic is broken, I'm just gonna say, simply for the fact if you can mix it with Bond Between Teacher and Student. So let me explain what I mean by this. So the ability of Bond Between Teacher and Student is, if you have a Dark Magician, you could special summon one Dark Magician from anywhere besides being banished. That's hand, deck, graveyard. Then you can also set 1 Dark Magic attack, 1 Dark Burning attack, or you could do 1 Dark Magic Twin Burst. And that's where this comes in. Dark Burning Magic is such a broken card, simply for the fact it's a quick play spell. So let's say your opponent is chaining up all your shit and you would happen to activate Bond Between Teacher and Student. All you literally have to do is just wait till they get their combo done and immediately activate Dark Burning Magic, because it let you set it obviously from Bond Between Teacher and Student. So you're going to want to run 3 Dark Magicians. You're going to want to run 1 Dark Magician Girl. The 5 cards that I had to replace for the Red Eyes Fusion and Dragoon, I simply chose 2 Apprentice Magician Girls, because she gets the Dark Magicians to your hand, and she could also get your Dark Magicians to the graveyard, which you're going to want to always ping because of Eternal Soul. You're always going to want to be cycling your Dark Magicians. Always constantly cycling your Dark Magicians so you can get max amounts of banishes, destroys, everything. You're constantly always going to want to cycle your freaking Dark Magicians. And what's going to help you cycle that, and what's going to bring us to our next card, is Magician's Souls. This card is absolutely a staple in any Dark Magician deck, simply for the fact of, it's not its first effect that you want, It's this second effect. If this card is in your hand, you can send one level 6 or higher spellcaster from your deck to the graveyard, then activate one of these cards. You either get to choose between special summoning Magician Souls, which will proc his second ability, and you only want to do that if your hand is clogged, and most of the time, your hand's not ever going to be clogged, so you don't ever have to necessarily use his first ability. But that second ability lets you special summon one Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl from your graveyard. It's literally special summoning that Dark Magician you just sent to your graveyard, which, if you're lucky, is going to immediately proc Dark Magical Circle, and it's going to let you banish one. Now, if you have Piercing the Darkness, it's also going to let you draw a card. If you have, Dark Magic or Magician Salvation, this card will immediately let you target that Dark Magician you just summoned and let you special summon either a Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl from your graveyard. Now, like I said, you always want to be cycling your Magicians through your graveyard all the time, simply for the fact of that's what this deck runs out. It's flooding your opponent out and then just overwhelming the shit out of them. So, now that we know the effect of Magician Souls, it's an absolutely broken card, we're going to move on to Magician's Rod. Now, this card counts technically as, how do I explain what this would count as? I guess it would basically be kind of like a Soul Servant, honestly, except instead of it going to the top of your deck, it goes directly to your hand. So what this card does is when you special summon, or when you normal summon this card, you can add one spell or trap card from your deck to your hand that specifically lists Dark Magician in its texts. Now, since this is the Dark Magician deck, almost every single spell and trap card that you could combo off of, keep in mind I said that you can combo off of, will be added to your hand. Now, most of the time, I always either go for Dark Magical Circle or Eternal Soul, but you have the choice between Soul Servant and Piercing the Darkness or Magician Salvation. Now, let's say you already have a Dark Magician out on your field. Me personally, I would still go for Dark Magical Circle, because with the way that this deck works is you're going to want to link away your Dark Magician that's on the field. That'll proc your Eternal Soul. That'll bring Dark Magician back. You get 2 monsters for the cost of 1. And you also get a free banish. And if you're lucky enough, you could also have a free draw. Which is fucking disgusting. Like, this deck is basically having Pot of Greed in its deck. But even better. It doesn't matter whose turn it is. You're basically always going to be drawing cards from your deck, which are always going to ping back and forth around. So, the idea is, you want to be able to floodgate your opponent, and then just fucking utterly destroy them. Like, the way that this deck can combo is so disgusting. I love it so much. So, back to the second effect. So, its second ability is, if you activate a spell, trap card, or an effect while this card is in your graveyard, it doesn't matter whose turn it is, it's during your opponent's turn, which is still very, very, very good. You could proc this, and it'll get rid of one of your spellcasters, and you can add it to your hand. So, what you would want to do, theoretically, is on your opponent's turn, let's say you have, Dark Magician in your graveyard. This is what this deck runs off of, is having your Dark Magicians. Let's say you give up your Dark Magician. Once again, that's going to proc your Eternal Soul. You get it back from your graveyard. Then that's going to proc your Dark Magical Circle. Then it's going to proc Piercing the Darkness. Then it's also going to proc Magician Salvation. Which is absolutely insane to me, that you could just constantly keep summoning Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl, no matter where the hell you're at, whatever position that you're in, you're always going to be summoning your Dark Magicians, no matter what. It's such a great deck, dude. So, moving on to Chocolate Magician Girl, if you guys watch my videos on, on Duel Links, you'll know why this card is so good. Once per turn, you could discard one spellcaster monster, draw 1 card. So this is one of the cards that I had to give up, and it is going to interfere with the goes in match, simply because she's a water card. But you don't necessarily need her, she's just insurance in case you get into a sticky situation. So once per turn, you can discard 1 spellcaster, draw 1 card. She's another +1 in card advantage. Well, technically she's a neutral card advantage card, because you have to give up to draw. But it's her second effect. Her second effect is what makes this shit. If this card is targeted for an attack, you can target 1 spellcaster monster in your graveyard, except Chocolate Magician Girl. Special summon it, change the attack to the target you chose, and then the attacking monster becomes half of its attack. So literally, let's say, here's a really good situation that I've been in. Let's say your opponent has a 5,000 attack beat stick. It'll proc her ability when they attack her, because most people will only read her first ability. A lot of people don't give a fuck about her second ability, and I've learned that for some reason. Like, they just don't care about her second ability. They think she's just a drawing card, and that's not true at all. So let's say you're going up against a 5,000 beat stick. They attack. It's going to proc her ability. You get Dark Magician. They're both going to be destroyed in the process. But once again, it's going to proc your Eternal Soul, proc your Dark Magical Circle, proc your Piercing the Darkness, and proc your Magician's Salvation. Do you see how this constantly works? You're always going to want to be circling your Dark Magicians in this deck. And no matter what situation you're in, you could always circle them out of your deck, into your deck, from the graveyard back into your deck, from your deck to the graveyard, from your deck to the field. Like, it's so amazing, dude. Okay, moving on to the next card, you're only going to want to run one Dark Magician Girl, simply for the fact of this deck can get her out anywhere. The only reason why you run 3 Dark Magicians is because it specifically procs off of Eternal Soul, and it procs off of Dark Magical Circle. I've seen a lot of people, they only run 2 Dark Magicians in their deck because they say it makes it bricky, but I haven't ever had that problem yet. There is a chance that it will happen, but I haven't had that problem yet. So moving on to the next card. Sorry about that. I did not mean to do that whatsoever. So moving on to the next card is Apprentice Illusion Magician. Now, I just explained to you what her ability does a while ago, but I'll do it again. You can special summon this card from your hand by discarding 1 card. You're always going to want to try and discard your Dark Magician or your Dark Magician Girl. Then, when this card is normal summoned or special summoned, you can add 1 Dark Magician from your hand or your deck. Now, or from your deck to your hand. Now, once again, that will proc Eternal Soul. And it'll proc Dark Magical Circle, it'll proc Piercing the Darkness, and it'll proc Magician's Salvation. So fucking good to have in this deck. I absolutely love this card, and I wish that I had it. I absolutely wish that I had it in Duel Links, but it is so hard to get the cards you need in Duel Links. So, her second ability, or well, I guess it would be third ability, is during damage calculation, if your other Dark Spellcaster monster battles an opponent's monster, doesn't matter if you're attacking, they're attacking, you can send this card from your hand or face up on the field to the graveyard, and that monster that's being attacked or is attacking gains 2,000 attack and defense. You are literally making a 4,500 beat stick just like that. Literally no problems at all. It's literally amazing. I run 2, you could run 3 if you wanted to. You could just give up Chocolate Magician Girl for the third one, so your deck will always be dark attribute cards because it goes in match. But like I said, it's up to your personal preference. I run Chocolate Magician Girl because I love that second ability. So next card is the Magician of Dark Illusion. This card will always be a staple in any Dark Magician deck. This card is fucking broken. It's literally like having a Magician's Navigation as a hand trap. This card's name becomes Dark Magician while on the field. You can only use each effect of Magician of Dark Illusion once per turn. During your opponent's turn, if you activate a spell, trap, or effect, which will almost always be Eternal Soul, Dark Magical Circle, Piercing the Darkness, and Magician's Salvation, you'll proc all 4 of those. It'll proc his ability. You could special summon him to the field. Then, during your opponent's turn, if you activate a spell, trap, or effect, you could special summon a Dark Magician from your grave. Oh, actually, I read his second ability wrong. If you just activate a spell, trap, or card effect while he's on the field, you could just special summon a Dark Magician from your graveyard, which will proc Dark Magical Circle, Piercing the Darkness, and Magician's Salvation. Holy shit. You see why this deck is so good. And, as an added bonus, this card's name becomes Dark Magician on the field. So if you summon him, it's gonna proc the 3 cards again. Like, literally, you are always going to be banishing cards from your opponent. No matter what you do, no matter what you activate, there will always be a banish happening. basically almost every single turn. Theoretically, you should be able to banish at least one card and then draw, I think, upwards to 2 to 3 cards every single turn. So, moving on to the next card, I chose Cosmo Brain simply for the fact of I could just special summon it. It counts as a dark spellcaster type level 7. It helps with my Xyz monsters. It helps with my fusions. It's amazing. It'll help you get your Dark Magician to the graveyard, which will proc Eternal Soul and the cards that I've already speaked about. It'll proc that, but this is also a very, 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 very good unjammer card. So the reason why I say it's a very good unjammer card, let's say if you have Magician's Rod out on the field and you have no way of getting rid of it, all you have to do is activate her second ability after she's special summoned, get rid of your Magician's Rod, special summon a Dark Magician from your hand or your deck, which will proc the 3 cards. Like, just the Holy Trinity, bro. That's what I'm going to call this deck, is the Holy Trinity. Is Eternal Soul, Dark Magical Circle, and Piercing the Darkness. Now, this card, the reason why Magician's Salvation, I would say, isn't part of the Holy Trio, or I guess the Holy Quad, is because its effect is very situational. Now, don't get me wrong, it is very good, but all it's basically going to do is just special summon a Dark Magician for you, or a Dark Magician Girl every single turn. So it's going to keep that procking of Dark Magicians and Dark Magician Girl going from everywhere onto your field. It's just going to keep procking it over and over and over and over again. So Cosmo Brain is a very good addition to this card. Or to this very good addition of a card to this deck. I'm sorry. So moving on to the next is the Eye of Timaeus. Now, I am supposed to be running 3 of these in my deck, but I don't want to. Simply for the fact of I have Secrets of Dark Magic. Now, what I could do is either run a second Secrets of Dark Magic or a third Eye of Timaeus. The reason why I have to run the Eye of Timaeus is because, like I said before, Dark Magician got nerfed again. You don't have access to Red Eye's Dark Dragoon, so you can't have the 3 Red Eye's fusions in your deck. And that's arguably the best fusion card that's ever been fucking made. Like, Red Eye's fusion's crazy. But the reason why I run Eye of Timaeus is you literally only need 1 card to fusion summon any of these fusion cards. Like, literally any of them. All you need to do is plop Eye of Timaeus. All you gotta use is a Dark Magician or a Dark Magician Girl, and you're immediately getting access. Most of the time what you're going to want to do is summon the Magicians, which is going to bring me back to the thing that I talked about earlier. This card is what makes your Pot of Greed complete, along with Piercing the Darkness. So these 2 cards together basically have the exact same effect, except his second ability is when he's destroyed by a destroyed by battle or by card effect, I could just special summon Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl both from my graveyard. But there is a little bit of a better effect on the Dark Magicians, which is his first ability. Yes, when a spell or trap card is activated, you could draw 1 card. Then, if what you drew was a spell or trap card, you can set it. You could literally just set it. And if it was a trap or a quick play spell, you can activate it the turn you set it, which is literally why we run these Floodgates. This is such a broken ability. I love the Twin Dark Magicians. Oh my god, if they added this card into Duel Links, I would never lose a fucking duel. I would literally never lose a duel. And I'm willing to put money against that. If this card was in Duel Links, I would never lose a fucking duel. Because this card is absolutely insane. And there's a reason I run 2 of them, along with 2 Ebon Magicians. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. I need to move on. So, bond between teacher and student. If you control Dark Magician, special summon 1 Dark Magician Girl from your hand, deck, or graveyard. Then you could set 1 Dark Magic attack, Dark Burning attack. Does that say? Oh, Dark Burning Magic or Dark Magic Twin Burst directly from your deck. That's going to proc, like I said before, the Dark Burning Magic, which is an instant board wipe. Very, very easy to get off of. So, next is Magician's Salvation. When this card is activated, you can set 1 Eternal Soul directly from your deck. Yeah. The best card in this deck, besides fucking Dark Magical Circle, you just set it from your deck. No price at all. And it's a field spell, bro. It's a field spell, dog. Never thought that I would see a Magician's Field spell, but yes, it has happened. So, its second ability, if you normal summon or special summon Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl except during the damage step, you could target one of those monsters, special summon one Dark Magician Girl or Dark Magician with a different name in your graveyard. You can only use this effect once per turn. So basically, either if you have Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl on the field, you're going to want to proc this ability, and it's going to help you summon either Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl. Now, here's the thing. It doesn't matter if you have multiple copies of them on the field, you could still proc the ability. So let's say you have one Dark Magician Girl and one Dark Magician on your field. You're going to want to proc Magician's Salvation, target Dark Magician Girl, special summon a Dark Magician from your graveyard. That'll proc, once again, the Holy Trinity, these three cards: Eternal Soul, Dark Magical Circle, and then Piercing the Darkness. And then, if you're lucky enough to have Dark Magicians on the field, you get your Pot of Greed, but even better, every single turn. Like, this deck is so strong, you're literally having a turn on your opponent's turn. Like, just imagine if you activate the Dark Magician's ability on their turn and you draw Solemn Judgment or Solemn Strike, it's a GG. You literally win the duel. That's how easy it is. Like, this deck is fucking incredible, man. Like, I love seeing Dark Magician being in this position to where it actually has a chance to be in the meta. Like I said in my last video, though, the only reason why it isn't a super strong meta deck is because the Red Eyes Dragoon nerf. Or not the nerf, but the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon ban. That's what made this deck completely overpowered. And I've watched Team Samurai X1's, his video, and he literally beat the strongest deck in the game just by having Red Eyes Dark Dragoon on the field. Like, that card is literally fucking broken. But anyway, we're gonna move on. So Dark Magical Circle. Now, like I said, these two cards, Magician's Rod and Dark Magical Circle, are always going to be in tandem. So let's say you already have a Dark Magical Circle in your hand. Honestly, I would go for Soul Servant because the other cards are going to come naturally. And since you're always proccing Dark Magician into your graveyard, this counts as the Magician's Pot of Greed, but also better. So, with Dark Magical Circle, what it allows you to do is when this card is activated, look at the top 3 cards of your deck. You could reveal one of them that is Dark Magician or a spell or trap card that mentions Dark Magician and add it to your hand. Also place the remaining cards on the top of your deck in any order. So usually what most of the time is going to look like when you activate this card is most of the time it's either going to give you a Dark Magician, a Magician's Soul, and then a lot of the time I've either seen a toss-up between Magician's Rod or another Dark Magical Circle or Soul Servant. You really don't see anything else that comes from Dark Magical Circle for some reason. I guess it's just my horrible RNG, or it could be good RNG. I don't know. But those are the cards that I've most seen drawn from Dark Magical Circle. Now, I have seen Solemn Strike and I have seen Goes and Match in there. But those are the cards that most of the time I will get from activating Dark Magical Circle. Card is very broken, simply for the fact of this. His second ability: if Dark Magician is normal summoned or special summoned to the field except during the damage step, you can target one card your opponent controls. Gone. You can banish it. And like I said, that's going to proc with either you look at it the Holy Quad or the Holy Trinity. It's going to proc all of those cards together in one go because you summoned your Dark Magician. It's literally fucking crazy. Now, moving on to Piercing the Darkness. This card is part of the Holy Trinity, and you're about to see why. If you normal summon or special summon a non-token normal monster, which means you could have this in your Blue Eyes deck if you wanted to, except during the damage step, you can just draw a card. When an attack is declared involving an opponent's monster and a monster you control that is level 5 or higher, that was ritual summoned using a normal monster, or higher normal monster, or was ritual summoned using normal monsters, or was fusion summoned, synchro summoned, or XYZ summoned using normal monsters as its material, you can make that card gain attack equal to the opponent's monster's attack until the very end of this turn. It's literally a fucking metal morph as a spell, but 4 times as good. So with the way this works is if you have this card on the field and your opponent goes to battle, because of the way that this deck works, you're always going to have either a Dark Magician or one of these Fusion XYZs or Synchro monsters. You're always going to have one of those on the field, so it's always going to proc Piercing the Darkness. No matter what you do, Piercing the Darkness will constantly be procced along with the other 3 to 2 cards. They will just constantly be procced, which is so fucking broken, man. Like, I know I keep repeating myself, it's just because everything in this deck works together. No matter what you do, no matter what you summon, everything is always working together in tandem. So basically, if you get into a battle, any one of your cards, besides like, obviously like your effect monsters, you're not ever going to be like having a lot of them on the field, except Magician of Dark Illusion will proc with Piercing the Darkness because it has Dark Magician in its texts. It'll proc and count it for some reason. I don't know why the fuck this game does this. I think it's a bug and I need to report this shit to Konami. But for some reason, this card, it just counts as a Dark Magician. A normal Dark Magician on the field with Piercing the Darkness up. I don't know why it counts. It should not count as a normal monster. But there's a weird interaction in this game with the name of the text becoming Dark Magician. For some reason, this game thinks that that card is a Dark Magician, but for some reason it can still use its effects. So, I don't know why, but Piercing the Darkness in this game, I will put in big old tallies, in this game, will proc from Magician of Dark Illusion being summoned. I don't know why that is. Like I said, I'll have to text Konami, or not text Konami, email Konami about this shit. I do not know as to why right now Piercing the Darkness procs when you summon Magician of Dark Illusion. Like I said, I think it's because of this effect where his name becomes Dark Magician on the field. I think the game reads it as he's just a Dark Magician. So, I don't know, man. It's broken. I need to say something about it. I probably won't because it helps my deck. Probably won't say anything. But we're going to move on to the next card. Now, I already talked about Dark Burning Magic. It's an instant board wipe, which you're always going to want to proc off of Bond Between Teacher and Student. That's the card you're always going to want to choose because it allows you to activate it the turn that it was set to the field. And if your opponent is doing a Wombo Mambo combo, you activate Bond Between Teacher of Student. That's going to proc your Dark Burning Magic. You have both Dark Magician and Dark Magician on the field. It's just going to board wipe them. And it's a quick play spell, so really nothing you can do about it. Unless they got like a fucking MST or something, but I'm not sure how quick play spells interact with each other. I think when quick play spells interact with each other, I think it's the card that was activated first gets priority. I'm not sure, but like I said in previous videos, quote me on that shit. So we're moving on to Soul Servant. This is your Pot of Greed, but even better. And it's quick play too, so you could proc it with Eternal Soul, you could proc it with Magician Circle, you could proc it with Magician Salvation, you could proc it with Piercing the Darkness. Like, it's literally great. Place one card on top of the deck from your hand, deck, or graveyard. Yeah. Place one card on top of the deck from your hand, deck, or graveyard that is Dark Magician, or specifically lists Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl in its texts. So that's its first ability, except for Soul Servant. During your main phase, you could banish this card from your graveyard. Draw cards equal to the number of Palladinium. Is that how you say it? Palladium? I just say Palladinium. I'm going to keep saying it like that. I've said it like that for years. Draw cards equal to the number of Palladinium monsters, Dark Magician, and or Dark Magician Girls with different names on your field in the graveyard. So basically, the way that this deck works is you're always going to have Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl in your graveyard. You're always going to have at least one copy. But the reason why this deck is so good is you can always filter them back out through your graveyard. So what you'd want to do is, ideally, you're going to want to get rid of your cards, activate Soul Servant from your graveyard. You get to draw 2 or 3 cards. Yeah, you just get to draw 2 or 3 cards. It'll be banished. Then you could proc Eternal Soul, get your Dark Magician, which will again proc Magician's Dark Magical Circle. Sorry, I hiccuped and I didn't want to do it on the mic. It'll proc your Dark Magical Circle, which will proc Piercing the Darkness, which will also proc your Magician's Salvation, which allows you to get all the cards you just put in the graveyard back on the field. Like, literally, all the cards you just gave up and put to the graveyard will literally be back on the field. It's fucking crazy. So, we're moving on. the Secrets of Dark Magic. So I've never seen this before, but somehow this is a fusion and a ritual card all in one. So activate one of the following effects. Fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand, field, including Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl as your fusion material. So if you had Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, you could use this to summon Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. But we're not really worried about the second effect, but it is good in case you are running Magician of Chaos, which is when a spell card is activated, spell or trap card is activated, you can just destroy one card on the field. I don't see a reason to run that anymore because it honestly does clog up your deck without having that ability of Master of Rights. That's the only reason why I ran it in my Duel Links deck, is because you had that Master of Rights ability. But anyway, ritual summon one ritual monster from your hand by tributing monsters from your hand or the field, including Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl, whose levels equal whose levels equal or exceed the level of the ritual monster. So like I said, I don't need that second ability. I don't run ritual cards anymore, so it's not necessary. Alright, Magician's Navigation. If you watched my fucking Duel Links video, you're gonna know that this card is pretty fucking awesome. I love this card to death. It's a very good way to how to unclog your hand and your field. It's a very good way to just basically do anything with this deck. So special summon one Dark Magician from your hand, then special summon one level 7 or lower Dark Spellcaster monster from your deck. If you control Dark Magician, which basically is like, this allows you to summon 2 Dark Spellcasters, which means if you wanted to, you can summon your Dark Magician, and then you get to choose any of these cards to special summon. Most of the time, you're either going to want to choose another Dark Magician, a Dark Magician Girl, or a Magician of Dark Illusion, because let's say somehow you can't activate Eternal Soul. When he's summoned from Magician's Navigation, it'll proc his effect, get a Dark Magician to the field, proc Dark Magical Circle. See what I mean? Like, this deck is always going to be comboing into each other, no matter what situation you're in. So, moving on to its second ability. This is an all-negate ability. Okay, if you control Dark Magician except the turn that this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card, target one face-up spell or trap card your opponent controls, negate its effects until the end of the turn. Now, even though it says face-up spell or trap cards, even if your opponent activates a spell or trap card, that counts as a face-up spell or trap. You can negate it, and it'll immediately be destroyed. Literally such a staple, great card to have in this deck. So next, we're going to have Solemn Judgment, and these are your Floodgate cards. These are what I'm talking about, to where if you get in a tight situation, you can completely break your opponent's combo and immediately win the duel. If you watched my video yesterday, you will know that Skill Drain is broken, and it literally goes with decks like this. Simply for the fact of, you don't need your monster's effects. All you need is your spells and trap cards effects. Your monster's effects literally aren't going to mean shit when they're on the field, because you have so many spells and traps. Skill Drain is just a very good card if you want to fuck up your opponent. It's a Floodgate card, along with Solemn Judgment and Solemn Strike. Solemn Judgment, when a monster would be summoned or a spell or trap card is activated, pay half your life points to negate the summoner activation, and if you do, destroy that card. This is literally a one card thing to where you could literally just win the duel by paying half your life points. That's why this card and Solemn Strike were banned for so fucking long. Because it's literally, you pay half your life points and you win the duel. Literally that simple. So Solemn Strike, when a monster / monsters would be special summoned or a monster effect is activated, pay 1500 life points, negate the activation or summon, and if you do, destroy that card. It's not targeting. It's literally just destroying it. Not targeted, just destroying. So if you watched my video yesterday, you'll know Skill Drain. Activate this card by paying 1000 life points to negate the effects of all face-up monsters while they're on the field, but their effects still can be activated. So the reason why Skill Drain throws people off so much is because they see that they're activating their card's effects, they're milling out their deck into their graveyard, and they just can't combo off of it. That's why Skill Drain is so good. Because for some reason, it just doesn't stop the effect from being activated. It literally lets you activate their effect, lets them pull shit into their graveyard, and then it's like, poof, you can't do anything about it. You already sent the cards to the graveyard, and now I'm negating your effect. So, I don't get how that works, but that's what it does. If you watch my video yesterday, you'll see what happened. The dude was milling out his deck, and then as soon as he tried to special summon off of that ability, for some reason then it would activate and then negate the ability. It's literally a broken fucking card, and I love skill drain. So the reason why I run Gozen's Match is, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of people that run the same attributed cards, but this is such a good way to lock out your opponent. Each player can only control one attribute of a monster. Send all other face-up monsters they control to the graveyard. So decks like Elemental Saber, honestly, damn there, I've seen Gozen Match beat, and I'm not saying this deck, I'm saying I've seen Gozen Match beat damn near just about any fucking deck, simply for the fact of a lot of cards, they're gonna need different attributes to run different shit in their decks because of their abilities. Elemental Sabers is a perfect example of why this card is fucking broken. Literally, Elemental Sabers runs on so many different attributes. I literally think they have a fucking card for each attribute in the game. Literally would break Elemental Saber decks, would break Sky Striker decks. I wouldn't say Blue Eyes or Dark Magician, simply for the fact that they all run an archetype that's either Light Dragon or Dark Spellcaster. So it's not going to be good on them, but what is good against Blue Eyes decks is a card called Rivalry of Warlords. What that does is it only lets you have one type of monster. So let's say that, how do I say it? Let's say that they were to summon, let's say either Sage with Eyes of Blue or Maiden with Eyes of Blue, one of those cards. You activate Rivalry of Warlords, and they're literally locked out of the duel. They cannot summon any other monster. They can't do it, because once they do, Gozen's Match will have chosen that, or not Gozen Match, Rivalry of Warlords would have chosen that Spellcaster was their designated type of monster that they could have on the field. So as soon as he summoned something else, it would immediately be destroyed. That's why Rivalry of Warlords and Gozen Match are so good. I'm honestly thinking about just taking out one of my Gozen Matches and re-adding Rivalry of Warlords, because it's a good thing to have both of them out on the field. Because let's say they happen to be the same attribute, but they're a different type of card, like let's say Spellcaster, Dragon, Warrior, whatever. That will proc Rivalry of Warlord's ability and destroy every other monster they control that isn't that. So you get where I'm coming from. This deck is very, very good, and I love this deck. So let's move on to your extra deck monsters. Ooh, actually I forgot about Eternal Soul. Every Dark Magician in your monster zone is straight up just unaffected by opponent's card effects, which literally means spells, traps, card effects, anything. They're completely unaffected. Literally have an all negate. But here is the kind of double-edged sword to this card, and the main reason why you're always going to want to have a Dark Magicians out on the field. If this face-up card leaves the field, destroy all monsters you control. The reason why Dark Magicians is so good is because that second ability that I told you guys about. Once those are destroyed, it'll proc his ability. You still get to special summon Dark Magician and Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl. It'll proc that ability. Fucking great. Literally great. It literally makes it to where you have monsters on your field steal, even though he just destroyed them. So, let me read this effect. This is its third ability. You can activate one of these effects. Special summon one Dark Magician from your hand or graveyard. That's why you're always milling your cards, or milling your Dark Magicians into your graveyard. Because it says hand or graveyard, so it doesn't matter. This ability, dog shit. You're never going to want to use it. Add one Dark Magic attack or 1,000 knives from your deck to your hand. You're never going to want to use that ability. Pretend it doesn't even exist. This is what you're worried about. This is what's going to be able to unbreak your deck all the fucking time. Because Eternal Soul will proc the Holy Quad or the Holy Trinity, whatever way you look at it, the way that I told you so many times before in this video. And it's only a rare card, dude. It's literally one of the strongest cards you can get for Dark Magician, and it's rare, bro. So, moving on to your extra decks. I run Dark Paladin simply for the fact of Eye of Timaeus. It's a very good Dragon Breaker deck, and it's also a Spellbreaker deck. So, when a speller When a spell card is activated, you can discard one card and negate the activation. If you do, destroy it. This card must be face up on this field for the effect to resolve. See, but here's the thing. Always gonna have magicians in your hand. And they're always gonna be able to cycle each other. So it doesn't matter if you're having to discard. This is literally a free spell, negate, and destroy. Literally broken. Which brings me to his next ability. This card gains 500 attack for each dragon type monster on the field and in the graveyards. If you're going up against a Blue Eyes deck, literally GG as soon as you summon this card. Literal fucking GG. I don't know if you saw my duel yesterday from my yesterday's video. I had a Dark Paladin that had 6,400 attack power because I faced the freaking Dark Magician deck. Or Blue Eyes deck. It's literally fucking awesome. Okay, I run 2 of him in my deck just in case they destroy the first one. It's not that big of a deal. You're always going to want to run 1 Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight. This card's name becomes Dark Magician while it's on the field or in the graveyard. Eternal Soul. It will proc Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight. It will proc him from his graveyard and allow you to summon him from Eternal Soul. That shit is fucking crazy. That shit is an amazing ability. And he's a 3000 beat stick with an amazing effect. Your opponent cannot target spells and traps you control with any card effects. Also, they can't be destroyed by opponent's card effects. Literally giving you a free way how to keep Eternal Soul, Dark Magical Circle, Piercing the Darkness, and Magician's Navigation, or Magician's Salvation, all on the field. It's literally a free way how to keep them, and the only way to destroy them off of the field is if your opponent either banishes your spells or traps, or they get rid of Dark Magician the Dragon Knight. But if they destroy Dark Magician Knight, what's going to happen? It's going to proc Eternal Soul, which will proc your Dark Magical Circle, which will proc your Piercing the Darkness, which will proc Magician's Salvation. It is fucking crazy if you have this card in your deck. It is so good, and I recommend it to anyone to have it in. So the reason why I have Dark Cavalry in this deck is it's literally just a very good beat stick with, what is it called? Piercing battle damage to a defense position monster, and it has an Omni Negate. When a card or effect is activated that targets a card on the field. Now I said targets. That's where it's kind of like a niche effect. I usually just use Dark Cavalry as a beat stick because not a lot of cards in the game target nowadays because you have shit like Solemn Strike and Solemn Judgment. It is a niche effect that will help in certain situations. You can discard one card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. It's just a very good beat stick with piercing damage, and it has kind of a niche Omni Negate ability. It's very situational when its ability can negate the activation and destroy the card, simply for the fact of it has to target. So moving on, we're going to get into the Dark Magicians. This is the broken card. 1 Dark Magician or 1 Dark Magician girl and 1 spellcaster. That's where Eye of Timaeus procs in. The Eye of Timaeus, you only have to use either a Dark Magician or a Dark Magician girl for the entire summon of the Magicians. Literally so good that Eye of Timaeus is in this deck because you literally only have to use 1 card. Just 1 card, man. Literally only have to use 1 card to summon out the Dark Magicians. Dark Paladin, the Dark Magician Dragon Knight, Dark Cavalry. You only need the Eye of Timaeus to summon out all of these great cards. Chef's kiss, bro. Just chef's kiss, bro. We're gonna get 2 of them, actually. 1 from each hand, bro. Literally, Eye of Timaeus is fucking great in this deck. It's just great in this deck. Okay, so once per turn, if a spell or trap card is activated, except during the damage step, you could draw 1 card. That's gonna be the part that procs in with the Piercing the Darkness, which also gives you your second Pot of Greed. Your first Pot of Greed is, like I said before, is going to be your Soul Servant. But if you have these 2 cards on the field, they're going to be also another every single turn Pot of Greed, which is fucking great. So you get to draw 1 card. Then if it's a spell or trap card, you could set it, and if it was a trap or quick play spell, you could activate it that turn. Which, like I said, will proc your Dark Burning Magic, or it will proc either a Solemn Strike, Solemn Judgment, or Skill Drain over your Gozen match. It is literally such a disgusting card. And then its third ability is if this card is destroyed by any means. This card is destroyed. That's it. If this card is destroyed, you can special summon both one Dark Magician or Dark Magician Growth from your hand, deck, or your graveyard, bro. Literally in all search for Dark Magicians, which again will proc your Dark Magical Circle, Piercing the Darkness, Magician's Salvation. Like, this deck is such good combos, man. I run Ebon Illusion Magician, 2 of them, simply for the fact of it has that banish, and I get a Dark Magician on the field, which will proc Dark Magical Circle for a second banish every single turn. So, if you can have Ebon Illusion Magician and Dark Magical Circle out on the field along with Eternal Soul, you're getting a double banish every single turn. Not just on your turn, your opponent's turn too. You are getting a literal double fucking banish every single turn. Literally amazing. I love this card. So fucking good. So the way his banish works is if I attack with a normal monster or a normal spellcaster, which will be Dark Magician, I could quick effect and just banish a card on the field. It's literally how easy it is. Literally double banish for doing nothing. Literally a double banish for doing nothing. That's not even his good ability. Well, that is his good ability, but his main ability is I can detach an XYZ material from this card, special summon a Dark Magician from my hand or deck. So if you're clogged and you're in a tight situation and you can't get Dark Magician from your deck, proc his ability. Once you proc his ability, summon your Dark Magician from your deck. That's going to proc, once again, Dark Magical Circle, Piercing the Darkness, and Magician's Salvation. So, I run Ebon High-End Magician just as like, it's just as a security card. I've never used it in this deck, so there's no reason for me to be able to no reason for me to explain this card. I haven't used it yet. I haven't found a reason to use it. But Link Spider is definitely going to be one of the cards you need, simply for the fact if you're in a tight situation and you draw your Dark Magical Circle and you automatically have a Dark Magician on the field, what you would do is you'd activate your Dark Magical Circle, look at your top 3 cards, choose whatever you want, then you would proc your Link Spider, get Dark Magician off the field, which will proc Eternal Soul, and then it'll proc the Holy Quad, bro. Literally fucking amazing. Literally amazing. So, I run Access Code Talker in this game, well, technically in this game because I don't fucking have any of these cards in real life, except for, like, the main Dark Magician cards. I don't have, I don't have Apprentice Illusion Magician, I don't have the Eye of Timaeus, I don't have Dark Magical Circle in real life. But anyway, back to what I was saying, is I run an Access Code Talker. Your opponent can't activate cards or effects in response to this card's effect activation. Very, very, very good. So, if this card is Link Summoned, you can target one Link monster that was used for its Link. This card gains attack equal to that Link rating by 100. If you use Link Spider, he will gain 1000 attack. That'll give you a fucking 3300 beat stick. Then you could target one Link card that was used, the Link material for this summon, gains that 1000, and then on top of that, I could banish one Link monster from my field or graveyard, just destroy an opponent's fucking... just literally destroy a card for free. Also, for the rest of this turn, I can't banish monsters with the same attribute as Access Code Talker. Here's the good thing about that. A lot of people don't run many dark monsters in their deck, bro. See where I'm getting at? You see where I'm getting at? Access Code Talker is fucking amazing to have in this deck. So this is my full Dark Magician deck breakdown. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm sorry this one took a long time. I'm sorry I was being real yappity and talkity. but I really wanted to get this done so you guys know how to be able to use this deck. This deck is so fucking good, y'all. It really is, and I really hope that you guys enjoy this video. I hope you guys leave me a like, leave me a comment, possibly consider subscribing and turning on that notification bell so you always know when I'm going to upload. And it's been me shutting on gameplays, and thank you guys so much for listening to me. It's been me, and peace out, y'all.